I like what you've done with the place. I winced. Talk about a cleanish line. No photos though. In fact, I didn't see any personal effects. Nothing that showed I was in actual home and not a model showroom. Why would I need the photos? I couldn't tell if he was joking or not. Probably not. Alex didn't joke, except for the one blip in his car a few days ago. For the memories, I said, like I was explaining a simple concept to a toddler. To remember people and events? I don't need photos for that. The memories are here. Alex tapped the side of his forehead. Everyone's memories fade. Photos don't. At least, not digital ones. Not mine. He set his empty glass on the coffee table, his eyes dark. I have a superior memory. My snort slipped out before I could stop it. Someone has a high opinion of himself. That earned me a shadow of a smirk. I'm not brudging. I have hyperthymesia, or HSAM, highly superior autobiographical memory. Look it up. I paused. That I hadn't expected. You have a photographic memory? No, they are different. People with photographic memory recall details from a scene they've observed for the short time. People with HSAM remember almost everything about their life. Every conversation, every detail, every emotion. Alex, jade eyes morphed into emeralds, dark and haunted. Whether or than I want to. Josh never mentioned this. Not once, not at hint, and they'd been friends for close to a decade. Josh doesn't tell you everything. I'd never heard of hyperthymesia. I sounded fantastical, like something out of a science fiction movie, but I heard the truth in Alex's voice. What would it be like to remember everything? My heart rate picked up. It would be wonderful and terrible, because while there was memories, I wanted to keep close to my heart, as vivid as if they were happening right before my eyes. There were others I'd rather let fade into oblivion. I couldn't imagine not having the safety net of knowing horrible events would eventually recede until they were only faint whispers from the past. Then again, my memories were so twisted. I remembered nothing before that age of 9, when the most horrible events of my life had occurred. What it's like, I whispered. How ironic the two of us were sitting here. Me, the girl who remembered almost nothing, and Alex, the man who remembered everything. Alex leaned toward me, and it was all I could do not to back away. He was too close, too overwhelming, too much. It's like watching a movie of your life play out before your eyes, he said quietly. Sometimes it's a drama, sometimes it's horror. The air pulsed with attention. I was sweating so hard my top stuck to my skin. No comedy or romance? I tried to joke, but the question came out so breathless, it sounded like a come on. Alex's eyes flared. Somewhere in the distance a car horn honked. A bit of sweat trickled between my breasts, and I saw his gaze dip till briefly before a humorless smile touched his lips. Go home, Ava. Stay out of trouble. It took me a minute to gather my wits and peel myself off the couch. Once I did, I all but felt my heart pounding and knees shaking. Every encounter with Alex, no matter how small, left me on edge. I was nervous, yes, and a bit terrified, but I also never felt more alive. Chapter 5. Alex. I slammed my fist into the mannequin's face, reveling in the sharp burst of pain that jolted up my arm at the impact. My muscles burned and sweat dripped down my forehead into my eyes, blurring my vision, but they didn't stop. I'd done this so many times, I didn't have to see the length of my hits. The smell of sweat and violence stained the air. This was the one place I allowed myself to unleash the anger I kept under careful wraps in all other areas of my life. I'd started Krav Maga training a decade ago for self-defense, but it had since become my catharsis, my sanctuary. By the time I finished pummeling the mannequin, my body was a mess of ashes and sweat. I toweled the perspiration off my face and took a swig of water. Work had been a bitch, and I needed to release to reset. Hope you worked off your frustration. Ralph, the owner of the training center and my personal instructor since I'd moved to DC, said really. Short and stocky, he had the powerful build of a fighter and a mean mug. But deep down, he was a teddy bear. Had knocked my lights out if I ever told him or anyone else that for. You looked like you had a personal vendetta against Harper. Ralph named all the training dummies after TV characters or real-life people he didn't like. Shitty week. We were alone in a private training studio, so I spoke more freely than I would have otherwise. Besides Josh, Ralph was the only person I considered a true friend. I could go for the real thing right now. Dummies were good for practice, but Krav Maga was a hand-to-hand combat method for a reason. It was all about the interaction between yourself and your opponent and responding quickly. Couldn't do that if your opponent was an inanimate object. Yeah, let's do it. Got an Android at 7.4. No overtime. There's a new class coming. I raised my eyebrows. Class? The KM Academy catered toward intermediate to advanced practitioners and specialized in one-on-one or small group session. It didn't host large classes the way most other centers did. Ralph shrugged. Yeah, we're opening the center up to beginners. Just one class for now. See how it goes. Missy bugged me about it until I agreed. Said people would be interested in learning it for self-defense, and that we have the best instructors in the city. He barked out a laugh. 30 years of marriage. She knows how to stroke the oligo. So here we are. Not to mention, it's a good business decision. KMA had little competition in the area, and there was likely pent-up demand for lesson, not to mention loads of yappies who could afford the prices. Ralph's eyes twinkled. That too. I took another swig of water, my mind spinning. Beginner lesson. Might be a good idea for Ava, for anyone really, man or woman. Self-defense is a skill you never want to use, but which could mean the difference between life and death when you do have to use it. Pepper spray only gets you so far. I fired off a quick text to her before Ralph and I started our session. I still wasn't happy playing babysitter, but Ava and I had settled into a very trust, her word, not mine, since her olive branch the week before. Plus, when I commit to something, I commit to it 100%, not half necessary or phoning it in.